So welcome everyone to our Thursday evening informational meeting about Plexus. We're so excited to have you all hop on and join us. We know that you're so busy, and so to take some time out of your evening, we just really appreciate it and know that you will come away having just lots of value out of it. So we're going to start off, and Kathy is going to share some information about some of our most popular products, and then we'll have some testimonials. If you have questions, there's a little chat box, and feel free to just type your questions in that chat box, and we will have enough time, or we'll have enough time. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that or can't figure that out, just jot them down, and we can unmute you at the end. So, because when we want to get your question answered. So, anyways, without any further ado, we'll just let Kathy take it away.
All righty. How's everybody doing tonight? Can you hear me okay? I feel like we're getting some feedback. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get everybody muted. Hey, Carol, can you mute yourself? For some reason, it's not letting me mute you, and we're picking up a lot of background noise from you. Maybe. Hold on, let me type it to her. I just want to make sure everybody can hear really well. All right, let me just remute everybody one more time. If you are joining us by phone, if you could mute yourself. I think it's letting me mute people in general, but not people calling in from phones. That would be awesome. Okay, we're gonna go and get started though, because I'm really excited, and I will be brief. I am a little bit of a science nerd, and I like to do a lot of research and things. So if you have more in-depth questions about any of the ingredients or how things work, please, like Christy said, type them in at the end, or definitely we can, you can unmute yourself and ask those questions, so please do so. Okay, so we're gonna talk really quick tonight about just a couple of our products and how they help. And you're gonna hear a bunch of different stories tonight about Plexus helping about all sorts of things, helping with mood, helping with energy, helping with sleep, helping with weight loss, and you'll think, like I did, how can just a few little products help with so many different things, right? I think when we come from a Western medicine background, we're used to, I have a headache, I take this medication for it. I have, an upset stomach, I take this medication for it. And each thing only treats one thing. And so it's confusing to us how just a product or two can treat so many different things. The reason that Plexus can do that is because our triplex system, which we're going to talk about tonight, it's our Plexus Slim, our ProBio 5, and our Bio Cleanse. They work to address 3 root causes of a lot of other problems, and that is blood sugar levels, gut health, and inflammation. And when you address those 3 things, I feel like somebody's still unmuted. Can you, if you are on a phone, can you mute yourself just so we don't hear background? It's fun. I'm hearing patriotic music, so that's very fitting with 4th of July coming. So when you address those 3 root causes of blood sugar levels, gut health, and inflammation, a lot of the other symptoms that seem unrelated will sometimes disappear. And so that's why these products are so powerful. So we're going to start real quick with Plexus Slim. That's our pink drink. That's what most people kind of know Plexus for. It comes in a little packet like this. I love how convenient it is. You pour it into some water, you mix it up and drink it once per day. It's not a meal replacement. The main thing that Plexus Slim does is it balances your blood sugar. So you might be thinking, I'm not diabetic, I'm not pre-diabetic. You may be insulin resistant and not know it. Actually, 50% of Americans are insulin resistant, adult Americans, and many of them don't even know. But so you might be thinking, how does that apply to me, level blood sugar? Well, everybody would benefit from a more level blood sugar. Blood sugar affects our energy, it affects how we fall asleep, it affects how we stay asleep. It affects our metabolism. When our blood sugar is spiking high and low, it wreaks havoc on our hormones and on our bodies in general. When our blood sugar stays in a smaller, more narrow, tight range, it helps our hormones and everything else, our digestion, stay also in a more balanced and narrow range, which is what we want. So that's one of the main things Plexus Slim does. It also has a really powerful anti-inflammatory. So for people who deal with chronic inflammation and some of the pain that that can cause, Slim is a really, really amazing product. So along with the pink drink, which addresses our blood sugar levels and our, and what I forgot to mention. So one thing people notice a lot on this is energy. Plexus Slim has no caffeine in it. It doesn't have stimulants in it. So I have people ask me all the time, how does it help with energy? Well, when our blood sugar levels stay balanced and we're not having those dips, that's one of the ways that it helps with our energy is we just feel more level. So you're not going to feel like a jittery, I just took a 5-hour energy kind of energy on this, but you'll just find late in the afternoon when you normally would feel like taking a nap that you're like, I think I'll go clean out a closet. You just feel, enthusiastic and motivated. The other reason it works is because chromium in this helps your insulin to be more effective. Insulin's whole job is to unlock your cell and pull the glucose from the food that you eat out of your blood and get it into the cell where it's turned into energy. So this is going to make that more efficient so that more of your sugar that's floating around in your blood is pulled into the cell and used as energy rather than being stored as fat. Because when your body can't use it as energy, that's what it does with the extra sugar. It stores it as fat. So the Plexus Slim is an amazing product. The other thing that we have is our two gut health products, ProBio 5 and BioCleanse. And they work amazingly together with the Plexus Slim. ProBio 5, I'm sure you've heard about probiotics these days. It's all in the buzz. Everybody's saying you should be on a probiotic. What makes this different than many other probiotics on the market is that in addition to 5 strains of beneficial bacteria, it also has antifungals and enzymes that can help to break down and get rid of the bad bacteria in our gut. So if you're not very familiar with gut health, all of us have a microbiome of bacteria that lives in our intestines, and this is a good thing. And in our intestines, we have good bacteria, and then sometimes we have bad bacteria. I like to think of it as like a pretty green lawn, which is the grass, that's the good stuff that we want, and then the weeds. And they both grow in our lawns, right? No matter how hard we try, there will always be a little bit of weeds. Same with our gut. The problem becomes when the good grass gets killed off, then the weeds can grow out of control. And that's what happens sometimes in our gut. When we take an antibiotic, it kills everything in our intestines, the good and the bad. And what grows back first? When you've got a plain dirt lot, what grows back first? The weeds, right? And that happens to us. When we take any kind of steroid, a lot of people don't know birth control is also a steroid. Even if we're not taking those things, those steroids and the hormones and things that are in our food supply, they damage our intestines. And over time, when too much of the bad bacteria is there and not enough of the good bacteria to keep the bad bacteria away, it can actually break down the lining of our intestines, and that creates something called leaky gut, where the toxins that we're supposed to be eliminating are leaking into our system. And literally, we're poisoning ourselves. And that's why sometimes addressing the gut can affect so many other areas of our body. So this ProBio 5, it's going to go in and it's going to get rid of the bad bacteria. Some of that bad bacteria and yeast has an outer shell on it that is so hard to break down and kill. It's actually made of the same material as the shell of a cockroach, which we all know would, survive a nuclear disaster. And so that's why even with prescription antibiotics and prescription antifungals, it can be really hard to get rid of like a bad yeast overgrowth. ProBio 5 is amazing for that. And in addition, it's rooting out the bad weeds and it's putting in all the good grass seed that we want so our lawn can grow. The only problem is when we are killing off those bad microbiomes, it can release a lot of toxins into our system. Actually, Candida yeast specifically can release up to 47 toxins when it dies in your intestines. So we want to follow that up with our BioCleanse to flush it out. This BioCleanse is, don't be afraid. When I think cleanse, I think of like the people that do the cabbage soup diet and eat nothing but cabbage soup for 5 days, or they do a juice fast for 5 days, and then they have to sit by the potty for 5 straight days and they can't go anywhere. This is not that kind of cleanse. It's a very natural, gentle magnesium supplement. It also has oxygen encapsulated in it. Picture like the ice bubbles inside of a piece of ice, how there's the little air bubbles. When it hits your intestines, those bubbles, the oxygen is released. It helps to clean out junk, kind of like scrubbing bubbles action, and helps to gently flush that, okay? If we're losing weight and we're opening up our fat cells, our body stores a lot of toxins in those fat cells to keep the toxins away from our organs. If we're killing off bad microorganisms in our gut to replenish them with good microorganisms, we need to make sure we're flushing all of those toxins out. That is why this system is so powerful. 1 little pink drink a day and a couple of capsules of ProBio 5 and BioCleanse The products are all super easy to use. They're flexible. You can kind of play with it and use it at the time of day that's best for you. But the results for people are just absolutely phenomenal. So I'm super excited to hear about some of those results from some of the people that we have on the call tonight. So I can't remember who I turned it over to. Christy, do you remember who it is that I turned it over to? Wendy. Okay. My dear, dear friend Wendy, we had 4 children. We were pregnant together 4 times at the same time. We had children within just a few months of each other. We've been friends for over a decade. I absolutely adore her, so I'm super excited to hear her story.
Hey everybody, can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Awesome. So my name is V. Thompson. I am a Gold Ambassador with Plexus, and I've been with the company for almost 3 years, coming up here in September. 3 years ago, I was really struggling. I just had my 4th child, and she was about 9-10 months old. And instead of things getting better for me as far as my emotions, they just got more and more out of control. I was really struggling with my mood. I was really struggling with my energy. I was always exhausted, even though I was sleeping like 9 hours a night and having a nap every day. I was putting my kids in front of the TV and getting mad at them if they disturbed me while I was taking a nap, or if they didn't take a nap that day. I was really snappy and angry, and that just wasn't the kind of life I wanted to live. So after watching Kathy for a while and having that internal struggle of skepticism, I finally gave in and decided to give this a real try. So I jumped in as an ambassador because I'm also a cheapskate, so to say. I like to not spend more than I have to. So I jumped in and ordered a welcome pack, which was the best price I could ever get for the products. And I started first with one of the products called Plexus Slim, the pink drink. And within the first 5 days, I started noticing a real shift in the way I felt. I started waking up more refreshed. I started feeling like I wanted to get stuff done, like Kathy mentioned, like I wanted to clean. That's crazy. And I just started to feel really so much better and more like myself. Like, inside how you're supposed to be feeling and how you used to feel when you were younger, or, if you felt good before. Some people have felt ill all their lives, but I was much better before I had kids. I started to feel like that again. And then over time, as I added in, the ProBio 5 that she mentioned, the BioCleanse, the X Factor vitamins, and then, as I went on, I tried all these amazing products, and I really have had some phenomenal life-changing results for me personally. It's a daily life-changing thing. Something that people don't like to talk about is bowel movements. I personally used to only go number 2 about every 3 days. I thought that was normal. It was always strenuous and awful. I had some side effects from those strenuous bowel movements that were not pleasant. I thought that was normal. And as soon as I started using these products, it was really wonderful because it was just nice. I can go every day like I'm supposed to, or a couple times a day. If you're eating 3 times a day, you should be going a couple times a day. It's kind of like a car wash. If you have 3 cars go in, how many cars have to come out of that car wash, right? So I just, over time, I feel more and more in balance. And, I'm in my mid-30s. I feel phenomenal. I have 4 kids. I can keep up with them. Often I have more energy than them because, they're going through growth changes, and so they need more sleep than me. And that's as it should be. So I'm really, really glad I finally gave these products a try. I also, like I mentioned, jumped in for the business. Originally, I just was hoping that if I loved these products, I would be able to cover them. And I've done that since my 2nd month in. And then now I've just been able to supplement our income. We've been able to go on 3 really phenomenal vacations with the help of my Plexus income. And it's been a really wonderful ride being able to help lots of people find solutions to their problems, answers to their prayers. It's really exciting. It gives me goosebumps every time I think about it, actually. It's just like goosebumps. The people I've been able to help and reach out to, and the people I've been able to meet. So thanks for listening to my story really quick. I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Melissa, who I actually met because of Plexus, and she's on my team. She's a phenomenal lady. And go ahead and take it from here, Melissa. Unmute yourself, and it's your turn. Don't forget to unmute yourself. Oh, there you go.
Is it working? Yes? Okay. Holy cow, Kathy. When you said when you break down candida, it can release 47 toxins into your system. Wow, that is mind-blowing to me, and it makes so much sense as to why my body started changing when I started taking the triplex. And that makes so much sense when you're dealing with die-off symptoms and everything that come along with it. So I kind of have a story similar to Wendy's, except I'm older than her. So I chalked up a lot of my things to my age. And I never felt really great my whole life, my whole adult life. I always struggled with weight. I always struggled with depression. I struggled with, for 18 years after my second daughter was born, I started having thyroid problems. And so that didn't help my weight or energy at all. And so nothing I tried really worked. I did see a naturopath for a short time that I spent a lot of money on. And I was going to the gym 7 days a week. And during that year of my life, I felt like I got healthy from the outside. I looked really healthy and I did feel better. And there were some things that changed, but I believe now it was the inflammation in my body that was so much throughout my body that nothing I could do was going to help me feel better. So when I'm 38, we decide, oh, we'll have another baby. Well, all of my other 3 children were born before I was 30. So, I had great pregnancies, everything went well. This one was completely different. And I thought, wow, don't have a baby when you're 38 because it's different. But it was just because my body was in poor health condition. I believe that my gut health was really bad. Like Wendy too, constipation was something that I thought was normal. It was my entire adult life. I would go once a week, maybe. I could go camping and be like, yes, I don't have to, do this in the woods anywhere because, it was just my normal body. And it wasn't until after I started the triplex that I really started to notice that when I was going more and drinking more water, I started to feel better and my sleep patterns changed. Before plexus, I would get woken up in the middle of the night, say by a baby. I would be up the rest of the night, wide awake, and could never fall back asleep. I never felt rested, no matter how much sleep I got. 3 days into taking the triplex, something amazing that if this was the only thing that changed in me, would have changed my mind completely. And that is, I suffered from chronic migraines for about 2 years prior to trying plexus. And that was on top of all the fatigue and everything else, pretty much disabled me as a wife and a mother and an employee. And that didn't help my depression any because that just made me feel like worse of a mother. I'm worse of a wife. On the 3rd day of the triplex and the X Factor, I had no migraine. And if that's the only thing that changed, I'm in it forever, right? Well, I didn't tell anybody that. I didn't say it out loud because I was scared they were going to come back, and they didn't. For 8 solid months, I did not have a migraine. I ran out of some product, and I got one that was really bad, lasted a weekend. And since then, I have not ran out of product again, and I have not had another migraine. So that's really awesome. I lost 30 pounds over 8 months and kept it off, so that was really cool. Something else that I've noticed now just since adding in the X Factor Plus and the Vital Biome is huge to me. And I was listening to everybody talk about how they were feeling on it and stuff, and I thought, I'm not experiencing that, And then I had a huge test, and that was my back went out. It had been out for an entire week, and I had to do 2 wedding cakes. I'm a cake decorator as well. And that's stress time. That's everybody get out of the kitchen and stay away from mom time because you don't want to see her because she has to make everything just perfect and right. And, it's just high anxiety and stress for me. And my back being out, I'm thinking my stress level should have been completely through the roof. And I had my 10-year-old or my 12-year-old daughter help me. And she was like, Mom, she's like, you're being so nice. I just couldn't believe. And it wasn't until after the weekend was over that I had the cake completely delivered that I realized, wow, my stress was not there. My anxiety was not there. And I should have been over the top more stressed or anxious than normal. So that's huge. And so those are just a few of the things that have changed with my life, and I'm very thankful. So now I'm going to turn it over to Amber.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. All right. So like most of Wendy and Melissa's story, mine is pretty similar. I started Plexus about a year and a half ago. And at the time before I had actually joined, I was dealing with just a lot of really unhealthy emotions, fatigued all the time. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2 kids, toddlers, and I wasn't sleeping very well, as most have said on here. I got woken up in the middle of the night from my baby. She was 6 months old at the time. I had a really, really hard time falling back asleep. And a lot of times I would just stay up the rest of the night and then spend the rest of the day on the couch, tired, grumpy. My husband was always walking on eggshells around me. He even said, you just seem moody all the time and like I can't talk to you. And I was also not happy with where my weight was. I didn't like the way that I looked. I was always very fit and active in my teens and early 20s. And I was just at the point of ready to fix it all, not be dealing with the emotions anymore. I wanted to be happier. I knew I could be a better mom than I was at the time. And that was when I came across a post from Christy about Plexus. And I began chatting with her about the products. I have a couple of health conditions, a seizure disorder that actually is triggered by migraines, hormone imbalance, and hypoglycemia. So I have to be really, really careful with what I put in my body. And because at the time I was also nursing, I needed to make sure that the products that I was taking were going to be safe for my daughter. So I spoke with my doctors and I spoke with her pediatrician and got approval to use the products. I signed up as an ambassador so that I could, like Wendy, get the best price because I'm a cheapskate too, and I don't want to pay more than I should for things. So I went that route and I started with the triplex as well. Kind of gave myself a 3-month timeline to try the products before I really decided if I was going to continue on with them. But I knew within the first 2 weeks that I would continue, that it was going to be a lifelong thing that I stayed with. At that point, I had already lost about 4 inches on my waist. I was sleeping better. I wasn't having the huge fluctuations in my blood sugar levels anymore. I wasn't having to feed myself jerky and hard-boiled eggs and peanuts and nuts and things like that all day just to keep my levels where I needed them to be. I wasn't quite as moody anymore, and just wasn't as anxious. I started taking my kids for walks. We started going out more and doing more things. I became more active. And now, being a little over a year into it, I've lost a total of 42 pounds, 14 inches, and 7 pant sizes. I'm actually back to the size I wore when I was in my early 20s before I married my husband. So that was a big accomplishment for me because my major goal with my weight was to just lose the baby weight, and I lost that and then some. I just feel a lot better. But the most important thing, besides feeling better, I wasn't bloated anymore. My hormones weren't so crazy and up and down. My husband said, you seem like you're happier. You really like the products. You believe in them. And I went in for kind of a routine doctor's exam and things like that, just my yearly stuff. And not only was I not having to deal with daily tremors in my face and my eyes from the seizures and things like that, but on an exam that was kind of unexpected and just out of the blue, my doctor was actually very surprised to find out that a condition, endometriosis, that I had been dealing with for about 15 years, was pretty minimal. At the time when it was discovered, it was pretty vast, and into my 20s, I had undergone 6 procedures and 3 surgeries in order to try to contain it, as well as remove cervical cancer. Part of my cervix was removed after it was discovered that I had a low-grade form of cancer. And at that point, when that procedure and those surgeries were done, it was discovered that I actually had the endometriosis growing up on my liver and other organs in my body. So we kind of were at a point where it was just something that I was going to be dealing with, and I had kind of come to terms with that. The pain, if you have this condition, it can be pretty detrimental, especially on certain days. You have good days, you have bad days, and it really affects your mood because it's a major yeast and toxin overgrowth on the body. And they were very surprised to see that it was so minimal on my exams. And I was talking with my doctor about some of the products that I was taking. And she started mentioning some things that are actually in the products that we take. And I'm really excited about the new X Factor Plus because of it containing the chlorophyll in it from the copper and sodium, because she said that was one major nutrient that people with endometriosis should be taking, is some type of form of chlorophyll. And the X Factor Plus, I'm very excited about that product because it actually contains it. And she was going over some of the products and the ingredients in them, and herself very amazed with everything that was in, like the ProBio 5 and the Bio Cleanse, especially because a lot of those supplements, those nutrients and minerals, are what is needed to just kind of minimize the effects of endometriosis. So yay for that and X Factor Plus and Plexus being on top of all this stuff. I'll go ahead and pass it off to John now.
Sorry, Kathy's talking to me. She's distracting me. So, hi everybody. I'm John Taylor. I'm Kathy's husband. So yes, guys do Plexus as well. Even though by this call you may not know that. So, yeah, just a really brief overview. I'm going to talk a little bit about the business side of Plexus, but a little brief overview of our experience with Plexus. Is we both started for the weight loss side of things. That was what appealed to us most, and we both were complete sugar addicts. I was a total sugar addict where I drank, typically 32 to 44 ounces or more per day of Coke or Dr. Pepper practically daily, just to get me through the day. So I'd start in the morning because I'm not a coffee drinker or anything else. So soda was my go-to. And then I'd usually, have one for lunch. And then if I had certain dinners, like I always told Kathy growing up, if we had burgers or tacos or pizza
or popcorn after dinner,
like you had to have a soda with it. You couldn't have water with that. That's disgusting. Like you had to have a soda. And so, that's how bad it was. And, like I said, we started for the weight loss. I started with the Slim Accelerator combination, and, my first week, I lost a little bit of weight, which is exciting to see. What we didn't anticipate right off the bat, even though we'd read testimonials about it, was the soda aspect of it. We went out to dinner about a week after we had started Plexus, and we both ordered our normal meal. We both ordered a soda with it, and we sat there, and we're kind of like, ugh. I was like, my soda tastes weird, and Kathy's like, mine does too. And I'm like, well, did you get it out of this machine? She's like, no, I got it out of the other one. So we're like, well, that's weird. I was like, mine tastes super flat. Is that what yours tastes like? And she's like, no, mine's super sweet. And so we're like, maybe there's something wrong with the machine. So we actually switched machines, trying to convince ourselves that it was anything but, and it still wasn't good. And so, that was like a huge moment for us where we're kind of like, it couldn't be, no, like it can't be Plexus already that is changing, our taste buds or just what we enjoy. And so, like I said, the weight loss has been great. I've now lost over 55 pounds, which is amazing. Feel amazing.
That's so good.
But, the kick in the soda, just the overall sustained energy has been completely amazing. However, even though we've had this amazing personal health experience, I would say my favorite part about Plexus is the business side of things. And business for a lot of different reasons, but the primary reason that we always talk about is it's the people. We're compensated very generously as a husband and wife team that are both ambassadors. The beauty of Plexus compared to some of the other companies that we've seen is that we actually get to double dip. So for example, Wendy is Kathy's personally sponsored ambassador. And so when Kathy personally sponsored Wendy, Kathy got a little bit of a bonus and I got a bonus as well. And then every month when Kathy gets the benefit of having Wendy on her team. I also get that same benefit. And Kathy was with another company for 2 years. And when we looked at me trying to become more active in that one, we kind of like talked to her sponsor about it and how that worked. And she's like, oh, it's really easy. They just add your name to the account. So then you're both kind of registered users and either one of you can get on and order and blah, 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 blah. But there is no additional benefit. There was no double dipping and everything else. So that was a nice little perk with Plexus. But yeah, like I said, it's the people. Being on this call is always fun to see so many people from our team. We love hearing testimonials. I'd never honestly heard Amber's entire story like that before, which was amazing. And we love being a part of that and knowing that, this is happening on our team. And, it's just such a supportive, encouraging environment. I've worked in corporate America for a really long time, and anybody that has knows that it can potentially sometimes be very draining, emotionally, mentally, physically, sometimes. And, there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of just, backbiting and people jockeying for position, trying to get the promotion over somebody else. And I love the fact that Plexus is not like that. That's not the culture. Everybody's encouraging. We have people that there is no direct benefit for them helping us, because we're not even on their team technically, and people are just willing to do it. And it's awesome to just have that much encouragement and just overall just positive environment to be involved with. So it's no surprise, I would say, in that sense, that we've had such great financial success with the business as well. I joined in January of 2014. Kathy joined in March of 2014.
And we didn't plan on that.
We didn't plan on it, no. And she's going to interrupt my story, even though I was going in a certain spot. I know. I was going to say this.
Go.
We both joined, but we never had the intention of actually having a huge business, because Kathy had been with another company for 2 years and she had never, she always pretty much made enough to maybe cover the cost of her products that she was required to order every month, which Plexus, again, doesn't require you to order anything. But it was that kind of situation where just a lot of hard work and a lot of effort went into it. We joined Plexus because we liked the products. We thought maybe if we could get, a couple of our family members, which we thought we could, like my parents, my sister, to join us, that we could offset the cost of our products just a little bit, which would help, because we both really loved the products and we wanted to stay on it long term. But we never anticipated having a huge business, and Plexus just provided that opportunity for us. We really enjoyed it. The compensation plan is extremely generous, very, very generous. So if you've ever been with another company, my guess is Plexus's compensation plan is a little bit more generous, or a lot more generous than what you've seen, just based off of other things that we've seen, comparing our compensation plan to others. But it's just amazing. Like I said, I joined in January. Kathy joined in March of 2014. And by the 5th month in, even with us not even trying that hard from the beginning, combined, we were actually making as much as I do, or as was at my full-time job. And by the end of that first year, I was actually making as much as I did at my full-time job, which was, again, 2 years with the other company. We weren't even close to that. So Plexus is amazing. For those that don't know, my campus announced that last May that they were actually closing down, and the closing date is June 30th. So if you don't have a calendar in front of you, that is tomorrow. So my job is actually going away tomorrow, and Plexus has given us that opportunity where we've always had this dream of working a business together and wanting to be more involved as parents and being home around, or especially for me, being around more. And Plexus has actually fulfilled that dream, because as of probably noon tomorrow, because we're probably going to skip out early, I will be a full-time Plexus ambassador, and I will not be working at my corporate America job anymore, or stressing and running out and finding another one very quickly. So we're super excited from that aspect as well, because I feel like that's been one of those things in my life that I always wanted to give more to Plexus, but with my full-time job, I felt like there's never enough hours in the day kind of thing to do everything that I wanted to. So now I don't have that excuse anymore. So it's up to all of you and the rest of our team to keep me accountable as we move forward to make sure that I'm putting in that time. So it's just been an amazing experience, and we truly love Plexus and everything that it's done for us and for so many people on our team, both from the physical and financial health standpoint. So that's all I had.
Thank you, John and Kathy. And Chrissy's still on too. That was our call. We are just going to open it up now for some question and answer. Kathy, if you want to turn off the recording, that way people can feel more comfortable